performance is Alexander Hamilton's stand against Thomas Jefferson for his financial plan. It's the late 1700s. America has just taken an incredible stand against Britain in order to gain its independence. We have written the Constitution to form a strong central government as opposed to the state-run society outlined in the Articles of Confederation. But our stand is far from done. We are alone. We have broken with Britain and must create a new system in order to govern ourselves. In 1789, our first president, George Washington, appoints his cabinet members, naming Edmund Randolph as Attorney General, Henry Knox as Secretary of War, Thomas Jefferson his Secretary of State, and Alexander Hamilton as his Secretary of the Treasury. And so the American experiment began. But it was not smooth sailing. We are alone. We have just come out of a massive war. Our country is swimming in debt, and we greatly rely on Britain for trade. Alexander Hamilton realizes this. In his report on public credit, he suggests assuming the state debt from the Revolutionary War. In his report on manufactures, he suggests establishing a national bank and creating a protective tariff in order to aid American industry. These ideas form into Hamilton's financial plan. This plan involves 3 points: assuming state debt, establishing a national bank, and creating a protective tariff. However, these ideas were not widely accepted among Southerners, specifically in the eyes of Thomas Jefferson. Alexander Hamilton took a stand against Thomas Jefferson to get his financial plan through Congress. The federal government is too strong, and Hamilton's plan will only add to that power. Our society should run as independent republics loosely bound together, but the Constitution outlines a strong central government, and Hamilton's plan will only make it stronger. James Madison is at the forefront of this debate. He believes assuming the state debt would be punished in Virginia, and I agree. Virginia's debts are already paid. We should not be taxed in order to pay off the debts of other states. And on top of this issue, Congress is also faced with debate over where to put the U.S. Capitol. It is crucial these issues are resolved. The Union could break up over this. America is deeply in debt. We owe $52 million to our foreign allies, to the states, and to the soldiers. Then we have $25 million in state debt on top of that. If the government assumes all the debt, then we must pay $77 million. But we can package that debt and spread it over 40 years. The Southerners are upset because their states have already paid off their debt because they do not pay for labor. However, the states that owe the most money are largely the states that bore most of the weight of the war. If the government assumes all the debt, it will link the states together, laying the foundation for the strong central government outlined in the Constitution. If the government bears the weight of all the debt, we will ultimately prosper. However, the debates in Congress are out of control. Not only are we fighting over assumption, but we also must determine where to place the temporary and permanent capital of the United States. I believe it should be New York. It would have the potential to be another London or Paris if it were to be our capital. But when it comes down to it, assumption is more important. I know James Madison can provide the votes necessary to get assumption. I'm willing to make a deal. So Thomas Jefferson invites Alexander Hamilton and James Madison to a dinner. At the meal, a bargain is struck. Alexander Hamilton will be provided the votes necessary to get assumption. And in return, the capital will be placed in Philadelphia for 10 years, then moved permanently to the Potomac River. James Madison voted against assumption, but arranged for other Southerners to provide the necessary votes. And in return, the Residence Act was passed on July 10, 1790, naming Philadelphia the temporary capital and moving the permanent capital to the Potomac River. But Hamilton's stand does not end here. A year later, Hamilton pushes for a national bank. This bank will allow the government to collect revenue, pay off debt, and loan money. However, Thomas Jefferson did not believe that the federal government had the power to create such an establishment, and fought against Hamilton's bank. A national bank would put our money at risk. Our money should be going to farming and agriculture. Such an establishment would be unconstitutional. The Constitution does not directly give the federal government the power to create a national bank. And therefore, as stated in the 10th Amendment, All power not delegated to the United States by the Constitution nor prohibited by it to the states are reserved for the states respectively or to the people. Once again, the federal government is taking away the rights of the states. The states should be sovereign, as outlined in the Articles of Confederation. Hamilton only cares about the wealthy. What about the farmers, the plantation owners? A national bank would put their money at risk. The Constitution may not directly give the federal government the power to create a national bank. But Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution does give the federal government the power to make all laws which shall be necessary and proper for carrying into execution the foregoing powers and all other powers vested by this Constitution in the government of the United States or in any department or officer thereof. And a national bank would be both necessary and proper for our nation's economy. A bank would benefit both rich and poor. It will be privately owned, giving the elite a stake in the bank's survival. If the bank fails, the money they have invested will disappear. And as for the farmers, a national bank will allow them to take out loans, and new infrastructure built with government funds will allow them to transport their goods and expand their market. A national bank will allow the government to collect revenue, pay off debt, loan money, and regulate banknotes. It is absolutely necessary and proper for the success of our nation. So the Secretary of State and the Attorney General go to George Washington and ask him not to sign the bank's charter. With his cabinet rallying against the bank, George Washington gives Alexander Hamilton one last chance to take a stand for it. And Hamilton does not fail. Alexander Hamilton sends George Washington his opinion on the national bank. And the next day, George Washington signs the bank's 20-year charter. Of the three areas of Hamilton's financial plan, the only area where Hamilton did not receive opposition was his protective tariff on British goods to aid American industry and promote manufacturing. But in every other area, Hamilton went head-to-head with Jefferson to get his financial plan through Congress. In 1789, our country was $77 million in debt. Because of assumption, by 1793, we experienced our first budget surplus. The National Bank lent the government $13 million and made a profit of $700,000 within its 20-year charter. Hamilton's financial system proved to be a success. So much so, in 1811, when the bank's charter was not renewed, our economy was greatly injured due to inflation and the speculation of banknotes. This situation was so bad that in 1816, the Second Bank of the United States was chartered under President Madison. James Madison, a man who opposed the National Bank, was now signing the charter for one. Once again, in 1836, President Andrew Jackson did not renew the bank's charter. Getting rid of the Second Bank of the United States led to the financial panics of 1837 and 1839. If Alexander Hamilton did not take a stand against Thomas Jefferson, his financial plan would have never existed. And Hamilton's plan has proved not only to be successful, but vital to our nation's economy. Twice, when we have tried to remove even a part of his system, our country has faced a depression. Alexander Hamilton's financial plan brought our country from poverty to prosperity after the Revolutionary War, and served as a model to other foreign governments. Alexander Hamilton fought Thomas Jefferson on the power of the federal government and issues of constitutionality and won. Because of Alexander Hamilton's stand, our new nation was able to prosper. Thank you.